What's going on, everybody? Doug here, one of the host, producers, and creators of the Genre of Your Life podcast, here with a very overdue, and I mean very overdue, double feature review roundup episode for you all this week. Man, forgive me, everybody. I've been so behind on all my review roundup episodes, newsletters to you all. I'll tell you what, January and February of this year have been the longest years of my life. I'll be very honest with you. It's been hectic, a lot going on behind the scenes. But again, forgive me. I've seen these movies now. I've seen all these bunch of great movies the past couple of months of the new year. I'm so behind on my reviews, put out the reactions, and again, I just been so behind on getting these out to you all. So please forgive me. But I'm here with my reviews of One of Them Days as well as Presents, two very, and I mean very, very different movies, a comedy and a horror, which sometimes can kind of go together most times nowadays. But I'm very eager to review both these films for you all on the podcast this week. I should have another review roundup episode for you all this week, if not this weekend. Again, I have my review of Companion, a movie that I'm just so in love with. It's so good, as well as my review of a movie that I'm not too fond of, which is Flight Risk. So excuse me. So look out for those as well. And we should have a lot more content coming down the pipeline for you all. We are now, oh my goodness, I think we're now 2 weeks out now from South by Southwest, which is like crazy if you ask me. We're just so hyped for that. We're counting down the days. We're getting our schedule together of like screenings and events, keynotes, and networking events. So stay tuned for that. But we have a lot more on the pipeline for you guys before we head to Austin in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned. Have your notifications ready for all things Genre of Your Life and podcast Midway Avenue related. And of course, my friends, you can find the show, of course, on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, or your favorite podcast platform of choice. And now you can see our beautiful faces on our YouTube page, youtube.com/Midway Avenue Productions for the video show of the podcast. It's been going very well. Thank you all for tuning in. We've had a lot of great feedback, a lot of great kind of viewership on that. So thank you all for tuning in to the video element of the show. We're very proud of that. And of course, we're still very proud of our flagship, which has been the heart of the show, which has been our audio podcast. So thank you all for tuning in again for another week of us rambling and movie about all things movies and TV entertainment. But yeah, we want to hear from you guys. Please, again, for our Apple Podcast, Spotify listeners, Amazon Music, YouTube, let us know in the comments below. Want to hear from you guys. Please rate, review the show, subscribe to us on your favorite podcast platform of choice, or like I said, or on YouTube. It really means the world to us. Our goal is to get hopefully 1,000 YouTube followers or subscribers for hopefully by summer, because we have a lot of good things to cover for you all this summer. And again, we're still working on our big goal, which is still the Apple Podcast 200. So yeah, help us get to 200 Apple Podcast ratings, but again, 200 with Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube Music. We really do appreciate your support. Alrighty, my friends, get on to the main topic of this review roundup episode. Like I said, 2 films for you this week. We got One of Them Days as well as Presents. And let's start with One of Them Days. If you know me, on the show, we're big comedy people. Myself, Moses, Nick, and Joel's on the show. We're very big comedy fans. We grew up on like 90s, 80s, 2000s comedies, whether it's Superbad, whether it's a lot of Adam Sandler stuff, Seth Rogen stuff, like a lot of early Kevin Hart comedies. Like we just grew up on that. They're a big part of our DNA and why we love comedy movies and comedians. So I can think back to seeing all these great comedies with my friends in high school and grade school, with my family, with the boys in college. Like we just love seeing comedies. I feel like comedy is one of the it's very kind of like communal, very like it's the love of going to the movies, sitting with lights down with a bunch of strangers, was laughing kind of together in unity. I'll say, because again, I think comedy definitely brings people together despite whatever kind of going on in the world, whatever. But comedy is very important to the movies, I think, and to the whole theatrical business. But we haven't really been seeing a lot of comedies, unfortunately, in the past couple of years, I should say. I think a lot of these comedies now go straight to Netflix or Hulu or any kind of streaming service, and I feel like we don't have that kind of just like that weekly like studio comedy the way we used to back in like the 2000s, the 90s, and the 80s. Even like I would say even the 2010s, we still had, I think back to the last really good year of comedies for studios, and it was probably like mass media, definitely well produced and very like well marketed comedies. I feel like it was 2018 because we had Blockers, Tag, and Game Night. Those were probably the last 3. We had 3 great comedies in the same year. We haven't got that in a really long time. I think the closest we've gone to that, I want to say in 2023 we had Strays, No Hard Feelings, and Joyride. But even then, all three of those did not do well at all, unfortunately. And kind of sucks because again, it was like, wow, we have the rated R comedies coming back to the mainstream, come back to like the big screen, and they just didn't perform well, unfortunately, which kind of breaks my heart. But one of them days, again, it's one of those rare occurrences of like, hey, we have a studio comedy with two great leads. We got SZA, who's on top of the game right now with her music, with her topping the charts, with her amazing Super Bowl performance. Big Severance fans that you've seen on probably on our social media online. And I guess Keke Palmer, who's just so charismatic and so charming from early work in Disney now to to Nope, like you name it. Like she's very charismatic, very funny, very quick. And again, you kind of like you have two kind of people top of their game right now in terms of this, and it definitely works. It definitely works. So let me pull up my visual for our for our video listeners here. But again, it was just like, man, we have a comedy back in theaters. I was like, yes, yes. I was so excited. Anytime the comedy is back on the big screen, it's just so much fun. It's just so much fun to see. And again, it was just like, oh man. And the trailers were actually kind of funny to me. And they were really marketing this for like a while. I want to say, I think it was like, I want to say early, maybe late last summer. I could be wrong. I want to say it was late last summer, if not early fall. Yeah, maybe it was early fall, not late summer. But one of them days follows when her boyfriend takes her rent money. Alyssa and her roommate race against the clock to avoid eviction and keep their friendship intact. And Alyssa is played by the great SZA, and Drew is played by the amazing Keke Palmer. This movie is a lot of fun, guys. It really is. Like I said, it's refreshing to see a studio comedy of this caliber, this kind of budget too. Not a big budget movie. Kind of like go back to like the the low to mid tier budget comedies back on the big screen. And movies like this deserve the theatrical experience. Again, you want to sit in an auditorium with a bunch of strangers, have a good time, and just laugh. And this delivers, man. It really does. I mean, I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, this is like Friday. This is Dude, Where's My Car? This is a movie called Dope. It came out in 2015, and a bit of Mallrats too, but definitely had the feeling of Friday and Dude, Where's My Car. That kind of like goofy, silly. Takes place in all kind of one day kind of comedy, very contained comedy, and man, it's just fun. SZA and Keke Palmer have amazing chemistry. They're so much fun to watch together. They're both charming, charismatic in their own very ways, but again, their chemistry is very, top tier. But again, it's also, I love comedies that are so relatable like this or super bad. Even a Project X, I'll throw in, but like even The Hangover, I would say too. But like relatable comedies, because you can see yourself of like, oh man, like I had a long day, like I this job interview I gotta run to, or man, I gotta pay rent later, I gotta find some money for that. I gotta worry about this kind of like my crazy neighbor, whatever, blah blah blah. It's just movies like this is like you can laugh to, but we see films and movies as an escape sometimes to go to the movie theaters, but like movies like this where it's so very relatable. It's like, oh yeah, I can laugh at that because I've been there before. Oh yeah, no, my cousin happened that before. Or my cousin happened to my friend before. Oh yeah, it happened to my girlfriend or my boyfriend before, or my partner before. Like it's relatable. It's like, oh yeah, this got nothing relatable. And again, it's I think this movie came out right around when the LA fires began. And I think this movie's also kind of a love letter to LA about kind of like the hustle and grind to be in LA, gotta make ends meet, gotta, pay the rent, gotta pay the bills, gotta pay the rent. And a lot of the shenanigans that Drew and Lissa get into is all around LA, the food shops, the loan, trying to get a loan, trying to get same day loan, trying to like, try to get a job interview, all this kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, it's all around LA. And I do think that a lot of films kind of like are now set in like LA or Chicago, New York, but they're filmed in like Atlanta or Toronto or Vancouver, or maybe even in like London or whatever. But this movie is definitely LA based, i.e. why it's very similar to Friday because of the LA location. But yeah, it's a funny buddy comedy that just getting all in one day, a lot of funny jokes. I will say there's definitely some times with the jokes where I was like, sometimes like I have a thing with like ongoing jokes where I was like, okay, like I don't know, like we get it, whatever. But there were some ongoing jokes in this where I was like, oh, that's funny. That works for sure. And the comedy is very consistent too. I've definitely seen a lot of comedies that have been made for streaming the past couple of years, or comedies in general the past couple of years, that I was like, I don't know, the comedy is not consistent, or it was kind of funny in the first half, not so good in the second half, or like the it tries to be a comedy, but it's more of like a drama. And it's like, that's more of a dramedy. This is flat out a comedy. But yeah, it was just so much fun to watch. It was fun again. My audience was pretty, I don't want to say pretty crowded, but it was definitely like a bunch of people in there, and we're all just laughing together. It was like, oh, this is kind of funny. Oh yeah, I've been there before. This is kind of relatable, and a lot of funny cameos in this, from Little Rel Howerly to Cat Williams. Cat Williams had a really funny thing about don't get a loan, don't get loans if you can't pay it off. I'm trying to find his. Trying to find there he is. Yeah, he's like kind of this bum, that hangs out so that the loan office, and it's really funny. He's like, you don't have the money now, you won't have the money then. It's like he's not wrong. You gotta be careful if you're taking a loan out when you're desperate, or like the last resort kind of thing. And another funny thing is, like, I don't know if I can find it in in the trailer, but like they have like the APR, yeah, there's the APR. The APR of the loan is like $1,900, 0.5%, which I was cracking up. I was like, no way, that's real. It was really funny. I was like, wow, that's a pretty high interest rate. You better be careful. But no, again, it's one of those, again, very goofy, very silly comedies. I would say some of the supporting cast, like I would say like Maud Apatow, who was a very good actress, kind of plays kind of like the, like, oh yeah, like kind of like the silly, like, new girl on the block, kind of like, oh, look at me, I'm moving in, whatever. I was like, all right, whatever. And then Alyssa's boyfriend, who I'm blanking on his name, kind of plays kind of like the, like, you know, broke boy, kind of like fuck boy kind of boyfriend, that, like, man, kind of a bum, kind of mooching off other people, mooching off his girlfriend or whatever. And that's kind of funny, because I know I grew up a lot of people like that, or know people like that through college. I was like, oh, you remind me of this person, or remind me of that person. So again, it goes back to the whole relatability factor of comedies, which is so much fun to watch. And again, this was a fun movie, guys. It really was. Great soundtrack too. Again, I'm a big sucker for movie soundtracks. I always have been. And there was songs in this where I was like, oh, this works, whatever. It was really funny. I won't give it too much away. It was a really funny side subplot with Little Rel Howerly, who I'm a big fan of, also Chicago boy, represent, about like selling shoes. And it was like, with how Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp are so like bigger than ever now, it's funny to kind of like, again, go back to the whole bit. I've been there before. Like, yeah, you try to meet up for like a sale or transaction on OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace, and it's like, will this go well? I hope this goes well. And then sometimes you might get scammed, or you might get like kind of like lowballed, or like, wait a second, or finessed. So that was really fun. I know I've been in situations like that too, or been close to them where I'm like, wait a second, hold up now. I don't know how I feel about this. And that was really funny too. I was like, oh, that works. I will say they kind of add their own version of Debo in this movie. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, wait, you could, again, it's like, I know it kind of pays homage to, like, wants to be kind of like a Friday, kind of modern day Friday. This guy right here, I'm blanking on his name, but he kind of walks in, you're like, wait, you're basically kind of the Debo of this movie, and kind of thrown in like very last minute, kind of very thrown in kind of randomly. I'm like, huh. Okay, for sure. But he's some very kind of funny lines. Kind of his interaction with Drew and Alyssa is really funny. I'm blanking on the guy's name. It was funny. He's kind of like, oh, look, you gotta be careful of that guy. And I'm blanking on the guy's name, or the character's name. I'm glad to hear. Oh, King Lolo, yeah, King Lolo, and that was funny. Cause remember, this guy had a really funny scene in the movie called Dope, with a pound cake and a bakery thing. That was really funny. But he kind of thrown it. It was like, oh, watch out for King Lolo. I was like, oh, this is their version of Debo. But yeah, again, it's a lot of fun, guys. It's really fun. If you can see it, I don't know if it's still playing anymore, but you can't see it in theaters. Go see a comedy. Go support comedies like this on the big screen. I think kudos to Sony Pictures, and I think Issa Rae produced this. So, like, hey, taking the chance on a theatrical comedy that we don't get much of these nowadays. So kind of having that kind of just like, hey, let's just do it, guys. Why not? And I think they did very well. I think, again, it was like $10 million budget movie, or 15 mil, and it made like its budget back already in the first few weeks. It got really good reviews too. So yeah, just go support comedies, man. Go support comedies like this in the big screen. It's something worth it. If not, I think you watch it on digital now. But yeah, you want a good, like, kind of like comedy date night, or comedy, night in, definitely watch this movie. It's a lot of fun. Very goofy, very silly. And again, I really hope this kind of opens the door for more studios like Sony, that, or for someone to keep doing the kind of making comedies like this, of this caliber and scale for the big screen. And I really do hope we see a return of comedies on the big screen. I think Judd Apatow was talking about it last week as well, at the SNL on the SNL anniversary, they say, hey, I think right now theaters need comedies, movie theaters need comedies, the business needs comedies. I think it's all about the good idea, casting the right people. I really do think that again, as someone who's an optimistic person, I really do hope that we kind of see the return of studio comedies with an audience, and this doing well gives me hope. Again, it wasn't like gangbuster number, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, like this is huge numbers, but again, it's like I'm missing the Bridesmaids on the big screen, coming like Bridesmaids or The Hangover or stuff like that, or kind of the early Neighbors, This Is the End on the big screen, because it was like I think back to the memories I have with my friends and the experience I got laughing in a comedy movie theater with a bunch of people, and it was like I walked out like, yeah, it was fun. Again, the big kind of the energy is very different, kind of like seeing a horror movie or a good like spectacle like Avengers. Like you're walking out, like the energy is very different. You're like, yeah, I feel pumped. And again, I don't know that watching comedies always cheers me up. I'm having a bad day or a bad week, whatever, or bad weekend, or whatever, get my funk, that like going to see a comedy can definitely cheers me up. So I would definitely recommend One of Them Days. I will give this movie a solid, also an hour and a half too, very to the point, hour and a half, super to the pay. Didn't feel too long. Didn't feel like, all right, let's get on with it. Didn't feel dragged on. But yeah, hour and a half, very, very controlled, very kind of contained. I would give One of Them Days an 8 or 8.5 out of 10. Probably give it an 8 out of 10, but it was definitely, again, a lot of fun to watch. Again, I love seeing comedies on the big screen, so definitely check out One of Them Days if you haven't already. Alrighty, guys, moving on to the next film on this review roundup episode is a very different movie made by one of my favorite filmmakers currently working in of all time, and that's Steven Soderbergh's Presence. Presence is a movie that I was hearing a lot about of last year. I think it was either, I want to say it was TIFF, the Toronto Film Festival. Excuse me, the Toronto International Film Festival, that is. Or I think it was another film festival. I don't remember which one it was. But it was like a lot of buzz of this movie was coming out. Like, yo, like Steven Soderbergh did this like kind of thriller supernatural and it's the POV of the ghost, of the supernatural spirit. And I was like, okay, so that's interesting. And it was getting a lot of great reviews. I was like, oh, okay. Again, Steven Soderbergh, who I think, and I adore the Ocean's trilogy. Even 12 12 kind of grew on me for sure. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. I was hearing good things about it. And I know there was a screening here in Phoenix that like it got like a really big response to. I was like, oh, okay, there we go. That's promising. And also I'm like, ooh, it's told from the POV of quote unquote the presence. I'm like, all right, I'm with that. I also know Steven Soderbergh. He's very innovative. Think all his movies, whether from Contagion to Logan Lucky to Traffic to Ocean's trilogy, Magic Mike, you name it. Like he's very innovative with his kind of his editing and his cinematography approach to his filmmaking. And I haven't watched. He made a movie during COVID that I heard was really good, and I watched half of it and I fell asleep and I never went back to it. I don't know why. It was called like No Sudden Move. I want to say that it was very similar to like an Oceans-ish kind of movie, or kind of like him meets the Coen brothers. And then he made a movie in 2022. Very what's the one with the Ray Hitchcock? It's Hitchcock. Oh my gosh, it's Rear Window. Yes, it was very I can't even speak. Rear Window-esque, and it was called Kimmy, which I love that movie so much. And I was like, oh, cool. Steven Soderbergh's doing this thing. I thought Logan Lucky was a lot of fun. It was kind of like the 7-Eleven redneck, Ocean's 11. Had a lot of fun with that, seeing that with like Nick and our friends in college. But Presence was one I was hearing a lot of buzz about, and I was like, okay, here we go. Like, all right, let's check it out. And again, hearing a lot of good things about it out of the screening that was here in Arizona, and I was like, oh, okay, let's check it out. So again, I'm trying to pull up my. Again, I'm still learning my visual cues on the visual component of the show. Bear with me here. But Presence. Let me pull this up right here. Here we go. Try to share this. Yeah, I'm learning, guys. How do I share? Oh my goodness. That's the wrong one. I got technology, guys. Technology. Yeah, so Soderbergh. Also, Soderbergh, I think to me is one of those guys. Even though he's made some amazing films, I really, 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 really do think he's underrated. I think he's underappreciated. I think Oceans. I mean, at that time too, having that cast and having that like stack cast of like just movie star, movie star, movie star, movie star is like whoa. And the fact that he's kind of like, I don't think he's kind of like talked about the way like talk about like a Nolan or Tarantino, Spielberg, Spike Lee, Coen brothers. I think he's definitely in the caliber of the Coen brothers for sure. And I really, really do hope that we kind of get to see, just more of him as a filmmaker. And what also what I thought about too is that watching this movie, I was like, man, he can do. It's cool to see him do different genres too. Yes, he's known for the heist, kind of like the goofy kind of screwball comedy. But again, he's very good kind of like just handling different genres a lot too. I think back to Contagion, which is a very eerie movie now. It came out in 2011 when we all dealt with COVID. It was like, whoa, how did he kind of predict this? But also, I think he does a lot of good research of his films. That when he does a movie kind of about like virus or prescription, like a movie called Side Effects, he does his research. And he does his homework for sure. So I was like, okay, I respect him as a filmmaker to like, hey, really just like, kind of know his kind of knowledge about different stuff, whatever. So Presence follows follows story about a family who becomes convinced they are not alone after moving into their new home in the suburbs. Yeah, ooh, spooky. And I'll be honest with you, right off the bat, I think this movie has a better concept than execution. Like I said, it's all told from the POV of the spirit of the ghost, and really cool really cool concept. And Steven Soderbergh, who is his own cinematographer, is handling the camera himself in all his movies. So the way he's kind of following this house and following this family, it's very creepy. Also, it's very stalkerish, very like perverted at times. But again, that's the point of like, again, the ghost is kind of like overstaying its welcome, or kind of like very creepy, very eerie. And I was like, I kind of felt like kind of grossed out. I'm like, oh, this presence is watching everything. And I was like, oh, I kind of feel just like disturbed. So I guess I give the movie that credit of like kind of feeling disturbed, feeling kind of like out of funk, where I'm like, oh, no. But I'll be honest with you, it's just, this felt like a stage play that was like adapted. And this is written by David Koepp, who wrote movies from Jurassic Park to Spider-Man. I mean, you name it. Very legendary filmmaker, a screenwriter that is. And what I gotta say, I was like, oh, okay. So the first 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, how are we gonna play this out? And I was like, okay, I'm intrigued. And I'll tell you what, the performances of this movie are great, from Lucy Liu to Kalina Lang to Chris Sullivan to Eddie Made to Wes Mulholland. Like, everyone in this movie is acting their ass off. It's a great performance from everyone across the board. I was like, wow, this is very like when actors can kind of get the little shine to like kind of just like showcase who they are as actors and who they are as kind of performers. And I was like, I was really intrigued by like kind of seeing how the parents reacted to the kids. It's there was a tragedy that happened within the family at their old town, a little city. So they're moving now for this reason. Lucy Liu's work also kind of taking them over there as well. And it's like, okay, like there's definitely a mystery going on. Why is the president's following this family? Why is this like this happening? And that the mystery for sure kind of feels kind of like intriguing at first, but it kind of runs out of steam really early on. I'll be honest with you, the editing in this movie was very, very odd. So I'll give you an example. So like people are talking, like, yeah, this happens. Like, it could be a calm scene, could be a very like kind of like very tense scene. And the camera goes this. Like, it just cuts black. And I'm like, huh. And I wonder if that was like a direction from Steven Soderbergh, that like in the script, it was like, we're going to have like just weird cut to black, like instantly, not like a fade out or like a scene transition. It was just like, boom, black, like just fade to black. It cut to black immediately. And I was like, huh. And I thought that was a very interesting, but also very like, I didn't really feel like that was the right editing or right transition for a scene to end like that. I mean, after like it was a very intense scene, or very like either with kind of dialogue. Yeah, ultimately it was very heavy dialogue for the most part. And I was like, oh, okay. And I was like, oh, all right. But then I just felt like when the movie took away from its kind of just like boom, like kind of just went to fade to black. I was like, cut to black. I was like, all right, that's something, I guess. So I kind of felt a little like this, kind of annoyed about that because it kept happening every new scene or cut to whatever. It would just go, boop, black. Boop, that I was like, I'm not a fan of that. So I had a problem with the editing. Again, as someone who, again, I believe he also edits his own movies too. I'm like, dude, I've seen you edit. You're a fantastic editor. Like, this kind of feels kind of lazy, I was saying. So I wasn't a big fan of that. And I was like, all right, sure. But I did like kind of like just the stage play of it all. Like when the camera did move up and down, left and right to certain different parts of the house. I was like, ooh, okay, I like that. I like how the camera was really moving, like really, like seamlessly, kind of very just like oof, like kind of like very without hesitation, without kind of issues. So I definitely give it that props. For the movie though itself, I just feel like it just. I mean, it's very short. It's an hour and 20 minutes. When it ended, I was like, oh, that's it. There are a few surprises here and there that I won't spoil for you guys. But you know what? This movie to me, it was trying to be this generation's Paranormal Activity. When I was watching it, I was like, oh, this is what it is. It's trying to be the new generation's this generation's Paranormal Activity, because you know, a lot of similarities of like how the cameras are like are positioned, you know, like on the creepiness and the eeriness of the situation, what's going to happen, and the surprises that do happen, you're like, oh wait, hold up now, what? So I definitely like can see that it was trying to like kind of be like this like kind of not this cult thing, but like well like this kind of like when Paranormal Activity came out, it was this big like, oh, like what the hell was that? Like, what the heck was it? That's crazy. And this kind of feels like a found footage movie at times because of the camera movements and because the POV of where the camera is and it being of the spirit, whatever. But it just felt flat. It didn't really do anything for me. Again, people are like, oh, it's the scariest movie you'll see all year. Absolutely not far from it. You'll see a lot more scary movies. I mean, for sure this year. I get him a bunch. I've seen it right now. I'm like, that was more creepier than this. And again, it was just people were like, "Oh my god, horror movie of the year," or the past couple of years. This is not a horror movie. This is more of a suspense / thriller movie for sure, with a bit of mystery. But yeah, I would not call this movie a horror movie at all. It's creepy and kind of at times, but not a horror movie. I was like, yeah, I would not classify that. But again, I do give Soderbergh props for trying to dip his toe into kind of like the horror kind of like. Well, I think Contagion is more of a scarier movie than this, I would say. So, yeah, I would say this would be like a really like low rental if you're like, hey, or watch it on streaming. I can't say I would recommend this movie to anybody. I mean, that's kind of harsh because I'm a big Steven Soderbergh fan. But with that said, I was just like, I've seen better from Steven Soderbergh, and I think his recent movies haven't really done it for me the way. I mean, except for Kimmy, and I love that movie. But for the most part, I just feel like I kind of want him to go back to like doing maybe like the Ocean's movies or Contagion maybe, or even go back to like the heist kind of genre, because I feel like this wasn't really his wheelhouse, despite kind of the innovative cinematography and the kind of the storytelling he was trying to do in this movie. It just didn't work. Again, I'm a big fan of his, so I would give Presence really a 4 out of 10. It was a 5 for a while. The more I thought about it, and I was like, I was talking to Nick about it at a screening. He should go see Presence. I said I would wait till like streaming for sure. I mean, I don't even think it's worth the rental. It just was like, I think it was very overhyped. And like I said, it was definitely a situation where it was concept better than execution. But great performances across the board for sure. So yeah, I gave Presence a 4 out of 10, and not the worst movie I've seen in a long time. Far from it. You hear my flight risk review, you'll know why. But for the most part, I kind of felt just like this could have been better. And I like some things about it, I just felt really kind of just unfulfilled and very kind of felt just very flat and it's not special. So yeah, again, if you did love it, props to you. Again, I wanted to love it, but definitely let me know in the comments below or on YouTube or on Spotify or Apple. Like, did you like Presents? Did you like One of Them Days? Let us know in the comments below or in the review section on the podcast platforms. But yeah, guys, that is my review roundup episode for you all. Probably 1 out of 2 this week. Again, hope to have another one for you guys by this weekend, if not this weekend. Again, I have my companion review as well as my review of Flight Risk, and I'm trying to get my review. Trying to do another double feature of Hard Eyes, which I've seen, and I'm going to put my reaction on our YouTube channel and our Instagram and TikTok. Look out for that. I'm trying to watch The Gorge this weekend too. I'm hearing interesting things about it from friends and colleagues, and family and colleagues. So I will definitely check that out as well. I wonder if Nick and Moses saw it too. And then next week we'll have our review, probably do a full spoiler review and kind of a review of Captain America: Brave New World. Nick and I saw it last night and on Tuesday, and then Moses saw it last week, so we have a lot to talk about with that movie. I'm trying to think what else I have in store for you all this week too. And then we might start. I mean, it's going to be a whole episode and probably 2 episodes, 3 episodes. Start doing our Marvel tier list. We did one, for the Batman movies. We did one for Matthew Vaughn films, and I believe we did one for Denis Villeneuve films. So we will try to start our 38 films now, 38 projects in the MCU. So we have a long road ahead of us for that. But I know we have also Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four this summer too. So hopefully we can start that before those come out. Because I know we have a lot to talk about of the MCU, kind of the rise and the fall, and kind of like the upcoming the re-rise or the rebirth of the MCU with these last 2 films with Deadpool, Wolverine, and now Captain America: Brave New World. So look out for that. And then we're trying to do also. I think we'll definitely have a review. We'll definitely have an episode for covering what our schedule is going to be like for South by Southwest. And if you are going to South by Southwest, let us know. DM us, our personal page, my personal page, Nick's personal page, the show's page, or in the comments. Let us know, because we want to definitely meet up with everybody and kind of link with everybody, kind of get to know everyone, and kind of just again, it's our first big festival and convention as podcasters. So we're really excited about this. So let us know what your plans are for South by Southwest. But until then, my friends, have a lovely, great week. Again, stay cool, stay warm. And of course, we'll see you guys at the movies.